Let's just jump right into a wild thought experiment. What if you woke up one morning and the internet was just gone? Not for an hour, but for 48 hours. What would actually happen? It sounds like science fiction, but the reality is pretty sobering.
Seriously, just take a second and picture it. You roll over in bed, you grab your phone like you do every morning, and there's just nothing. No Wi-Fi bars, no 5G, no new emails, no messages, no news alerts. It's not just your router acting up. It's happening to everyone, everywhere, all at once.
And the sheer scale of this is hard to even wrap your head around. We're talking 5 billion people, instantly, cut off from the global nervous system that pretty much runs every single aspect of our modern lives.
So let's walk through it. What would that day actually feel like? Let's call it the day the world disconnected.
Because here's the absolute key thing to understand. We don't just use the internet anymore, do we? We live through it. It's this invisible force that powers everything from the traffic lights on your corner to the global economy. It really is like the bloodstream of our civilization. And in this scenario, the heart just stopped beating.
Now, to understand how it could all fall apart, you first have to remember what the internet actually is. We love to talk about the cloud, like it's some magical, weightless thing just floating up there. But the truth is, the internet is heavy. It's real. It's physical. It's a very real, tangible network. A gigantic planetary machine made of impossibly thin glass wires, massive warehouses humming with computers, and satellites zipping around the Earth, all working together to move our data around. And just look at the numbers here. It's unbelievable. Almost 1.3 million kilometers of cables are just sitting on the bottom of our oceans. A single break in one of those can mess up an entire country's connection. So a global failure, that means this whole physical system, all of it, has just gone dark.
All right, so the plug has been pulled. That connection's gone. The clock starts ticking. Let's see just how quickly our world can unravel in only 2 days. And this isn't some slow-motion disaster, It's a cascade, a domino effect. In the first few minutes, it's just confusion. Is my phone broken? Did I forget to pay the bill? Within an hour, you can't buy anything. By hour 12, nobody is flying anywhere. And by the 24-hour mark, that complete lack of information has been replaced by pure fear. And this is where all that invisible stuff we take for granted becomes terrifyingly real. All of a sudden, traffic lights are out of sync. Intersections are total chaos. An ambulance, which relies entirely on GPS, is now driving blind. This isn't just an inconvenience. This is life and death.
And it gets so much worse. Think about our hospitals. Patient records, allergies, test results. It's all in the cloud. Without the internet, doctors and nurses are flying blind too. Every single decision becomes a terrifying guess.
The global economy doesn't just slow down, it hits a brick wall. Full stop. Stock markets can't even open. All those container ships at sea carrying, everything, they're essentially lost with no idea where to go. The supply chain that keeps our store shelves stocked just vanishes. So, with no news, no official updates, what fills the void? Rumors and panic. People are digging out old-school radios, anything to get a signal. Word of mouth becomes the main source of news, and it's filled with terrifying speculation. Is this a massive cyber attack? An act of war? Did a solar flare cook the planet? Nobody knows, and that's the scariest part. Okay, so what happens when those 48 hours are finally over? As the world starts to add up the unbelievable cost of it all, something really unexpected starts to happen. In the middle of all the wreckage, people start finding something we didn't even realize we'd lost. But hang on a second. Let's ask the big question. Could this actually happen? And the chilling answer is yes. It would take an absolute catastrophe, of course. A perfectly coordinated global cyber attack, or a monster solar flare like the one that hit in 1859, or maybe a massive cascading power grid failure. Each one is really unlikely, but none of them are impossible. So, this brings us to this incredible trade-off. What we lost is staggering. Trillions in trade, critical infrastructure, our basic trust in the modern world. But look at what we found. In the quiet, neighbors who had never said a word to each other started checking in. Families put their screens down and actually talked. This quote really just says it all, doesn't it?
In the middle of all that fear, the world was forced to just slow down, to be present. And without that constant buzz of digital noise, we got a glimpse of a more fragile but maybe more human way of living. So when the internet finally flickers back to life, the world is changed forever. An experience this devastating teaches us one massive lesson. We have to build a more resilient future. We just have to.
I mean, this whole blackout was basically a giant flashing red light, showing us our biggest vulnerability. So now the focus is shifting. Engineers are working on things like decentralized networks, so there's no single off switch. They're creating mesh systems where our own devices can form local networks to stay connected. And of course, building a more robust internet in space as a kind of ultimate safety net.
And really, the biggest takeaway from all of this is simple. Being connected isn't a luxury anymore. It's not just for entertainment. It's a basic utility. In the 21st century, it is essential for survival, right up there with electricity and running water. So I'll just leave you with this one last question to chew on. If it all went dark tomorrow, after the initial chaos and the fear subsided, in that new, quiet, disconnected world, would you still know how to live?